Regarding the topic in the media that brought my name up this week, just wanted to let you know that I'm not going to be further discussing it.
Cassie Randolph breaks her silence in the first YouTube vlog since Colton's coming out. Hey guys, and welcome back to another shared news from home. We have to talk about Cassie's recent vlog, but before we get into it, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future updates. As always, I'm your host, Mariah Davis, and I am joined by the beautiful Avery grooms. Okay, Avery, we've talked about all of Colton and Cassie's past drama here recently on the show following his GMA interview, but we've all been waiting for Cassie's take on things. So let's just get right to it because we all want to know what she had to say. After Colton's coming out interview with the Robin Roberts last week, everyone was waiting for a statement from Cassie. But instead of commenting or vlogging, we know that she just took the week off and processed the information in Mexico. So a source close to Cassie told Us Weekly that she wasn't aware he was going to come out in the first place during an interview, and she hadn't had time to process the information, which might have brought on the Mexico trip. We don't know if it was already planned or if it was like, get me out of here. I need to go on vacation immediately. Are you surprised that no one even gave her a heads up about this interview? I mean, I can't imagine what that moment was like for her when she first heard the news.
I could not imagine that either. I'm honestly not surprised that she wasn't given a heads up from Colton or anyone else just because of the way they ended. If this was like a normal relationship and they ended on like friendly terms or they were still talking, I feel like that would be expected. But given, there was a restraining order, there was a lot of dark, bad things going on. I'm not surprised that he didn't reach out to let her know just because I feel like she wants nothing to do with him at this point.
Yeah, I'm sure she doesn't want anything to do with him. I mean, given the circumstances of, their relationship and how it ended, I wouldn't want anything to do with him either. Finally, Cassie has broken her silence in her first YouTube video since the interview, and per usual, she's keeping it classy.
Before I get into anything, I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the kind comments and messages from you guys. I really appreciate it. Regarding the topic in the media that brought my name up this week, just wanted to let you know that I'm not going to be further discussing it or commenting on it for now.
Okay, first off, she didn't even specifically name the event or the person, which is very interesting. She goes on to say,
there's a lot of layers to it, and I just feel like the best thing for me at this time is to move forward and just focus on going forward. So if I do decide in the future to say anything or make a comment at all, you guys will be the first to know.
Cassie just wrapped it all up by just thanking fans for their love and support. So this is a lot to unpack, especially for how little she actually said about everything. But I gotta hand it to her. I continue to be so impressed with how she handled all of this. I cannot say that I would have handled things the same, but I can't help but wonder if she's just being classy and respectful because that's who she is, or if some of her reasoning for not explicitly naming Colton or the interview is because maybe she's afraid of the consequences that await her if she did. I mean, coming from what was, in my opinion, an abusive relationship. If you stalk or harass people, I think that's a form of abuse. That's just me. Maybe she thinks it's just smarter to stay quiet and focus on herself. What do you think?
I think it's a little bit of all of that. I think it's her being classy and respectful, but also I just don't think she wants to be involved. Like I said, she's made it clear that she doesn't want anything to do with him by her silence. Like her silence speaks volumes. And I know her name doesn't want to come out of his mouth or be even in the same sentence with him. So I think this is the best way to go, is just say what she said. It was very short and simple, and just no longer address it because she doesn't want the ties. She doesn't want the publicity, obviously. So I think she went about it the best way possible.
Agreed. She sounds like a person who just wants to move on and no longer be affiliated or a topic of conversation in regards to Colton and their what was awful relationship, apparently. So real quick, for those of you who aren't familiar with Colton and Cassie's past relationship and drama, they fell in love during season 23 of The Bachelor and were in a serious relationship until 2020 when things ended and got very, very messy. In September of last year, she went as far as to filing a restraining order against Colton due to stalking and harassment, which I mentioned earlier, not just of her, but also of her family and friends. In November, the restraining order was dropped due to the pair making a private agreement. Colton did kind of address his actions in the GMA interview, saying, quote, "Sorry for how things ended, and I wish it wouldn't have happened the way that it did. I wish I would have been courageous enough to fix myself before I broke anybody else." Now, we've already covered this interview and his very vague and half-hearted apology, if we can even call it an apology, but I think it's safe to infer that the lack of acknowledgement would bother anyone who was a victim of somebody's abusive behavior, which is, again, why I feel so impressed by Cassie's actions. Do you think that a part of her wanted to say something, but it could be a part of their agreement that they don't speak about each other? I mean, we don't know the details of this private agreement, but I would assume it's something like, we don't speak about each other, we don't come in contact with one another, we're never around each other. Like, I would assume maybe that's a part of the reason that she is staying so silent.
I think that is a part of the reason. Also, when Colton was giving his interview, that was so vague, but maybe that was because he can't speak on her, or he just knows that she doesn't want him speaking on her. And I think it goes both ways with this. You know, she's not going to say much about it, neither is he. But in terms of addressing it during the Good Morning America interview, like, that definitely wasn't addressing it. He didn't get into detail. It was just way too vague. But like I said, that could be just because she doesn't want her name coming out of his mouth. It's just really hard to tell in this situation because there's just so much we still don't know.
Exactly. And regardless of the reasoning, I do think it's best that the two do nothing to add fuel to a fire, because at the end of the day, when you take two people who are in a toxic relationship, regardless of who was in the wrong and who was in the right, that's what happens. You're just adding fuel to a fire. So that's probably best. Whatever their private agreement is, it seems to be working. Okay, Avery, and while we are on the topic of Colton Underwood, curious to know what you think about the potential of a Netflix show. I know there is a petition going on right now. I think it has like 30,000 signatures. People do not want him to have a bigger platform because he did showcase very abusive behavior, and we don't want to highlight that. Of course, we're all applauding his decision to live his truth and come out, but we also don't want to award bad behavior. So, curious what you think. Netflix surely has to come out eventually and make a statement, because many people are not fans of this idea.
I think congratulations to him on coming out. Like you said, we applaud him, but there's no reason for him to have a show, especially since he only came out and then kind of overlooked everything else. There's so much that he hasn't explained, and he needs to, because it's very wrong and just kind of concerning. So I don't think he needs to be awarded a show, let alone put on such a high platform for everyone to watch him, maybe even look up to him. I just feel like it's wrong. So I totally agree with the petition. It's so unnecessary, but at the same time, like, think about how many people have been discussing this within the past week. Like, it's what sells, and I know that's what Netflix probably wants. So I could see them keeping it, and even if the petition does go through, they might keep him on air anyway.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I don't think I ever considered, yes, if they continue with the show, could it bring in more of an audience because people want to know what he has to say? And, maybe he does end up addressing his relationship with Cassie and the choices he made in that show. I don't know. I mean, I would probably tune in if I could expect that. But other than that, I wouldn't want to give him any more attention than he's already gotten. Again, not because I'm not, happy that anybody decides to be their true selves, especially someone in the spotlight. I'm sure that sets a great example for others who are struggling with what he once struggled with. But again, we can't award abusive behavior, and that is abusive behavior. So I think it would be in Netflix's best interest to not go through with it, or to at least make a statement about it, or maybe even Colton. But regardless of what ends up happening, I think it's good that Cassie and Colton are not having anything to do with each other. It seems like they are honoring their private agreement, whatever it was, not adding any fuel to the fire. If you guys haven't already, you can check out Cassie's video, see what she had to say about everything. I will warn you, there's not that much hot tea, but it is good to hear from her. As for right now, that's all we have for you, but we want to know, of course, what you all think about what Cassie had to say. And do you think that her silence could be a result of their private agreement? So let's talk about that in the comments. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell because we will be keeping you updated on all things Bachelor related. You can follow us both on our socials listed on the screen right now and come say hello. We hope you guys have a great weekend and we will see you next time. Bye.